If you're a chef or you work in hospitality and you've been stuck in that cycle of trying to lose weight, staying on track for a few weeks, and then falling off the wagon again, then this one's for you. Because dropping 10 kilos of fat doesn't require a perfect plan, but it does require a few non-negotiables. So here are the 5 simple rules I give my clients to help them get leaner without sacrificing their work, their life, or their sanity. Rule number 1. When I first started in the kitchens, I was on the fries. And that meant I was never more than a foot away from a tray of triple cooked chips. And it was a constant stream of, just 1 or 2 won't hurt. Except it's never just 1 or 2, is it? I was 16, no discipline, no awareness, just constantly grazing. Chips here, a little bit of leftover there, nibbling on random scraps like a raccoon in a prep apron. And it took me longer than I'd like to admit before I realised how much I was eating and how much weight I'd actually gained. So I tried to set this soft rule, just 1 or 2 chips per shift. But all that did was give me permission to just keep picking, and nothing really changed. So I had to go cold turkey. No food at work. No chips, no leftovers, no scraps, nothing. If I needed food, I had to bring it in. A protein bar, meal deal, a wrap, whatever it was. Because the reality is, all of that nibbling can very quickly add up to 500 plus calories of food that you never even intended to eat in the first place. That can be your whole calorie deficit gone, just like that. From snacks you don't even remember eating. So rule number 1 is no chips at work. Yeah, you've probably got to taste stuff, so you can't go cold turkey like me on the fries. But if you can cut the habit of eating chips on shift, you're going to be way further ahead than most people. Rule number 2, you can lose all of the weight in the world. But if you're not using your muscles, you're going to lose them as well. And that's when you end up skinny fat. Not lean, not defined, just skinny, but still with a bit of a belly. Probably not what you had in mind when you said you wanted to lose weight. I used to think, well, I don't have much muscle anyway, so what's the point? But that's exactly why it does matter. You need something underneath the fat to give you that lean, defined look when the fat's gone. So rule number 2 is 1 workout a week minimum. You don't need to become a gym rat or a full-blown bodybuilder, but if you're doing just cardio, or you're not even moving your body outside of work, then fat loss becomes a real slog. It's boring, it's repetitive, it's monotonous, it's slow, and you don't really feel like anything's changing. But if you do strength training, even just once a week, that's where the game changes. Your lifts go up pretty much week on week, so you see that progress, you see that feedback that you are getting somewhere. You see those little wins, you feel stronger, and that momentum keeps you going. It keeps you motivated and shows you that it's working. So that 1 workout a week builds muscle, it builds some shape, and it means when the fat does come off, you actually look lean and toned. So you're probably best off starting with a 45 to a 60-minute full body workout each week. If you can do more than 1, that's great. But even just that single session each week, that becomes the foundation and you build from there. Rule number 3. I used to pour my heart and soul into the food I made for other people. Like if I was cooking for my parents, I'd go all out. The best ingredients, high effort recipes, I wanted to treat them to something nice. But when it came to myself, maybe I'd treat myself to some beans on toast. Fucking hell, as chefs, we can cook absolutely incredible meals, but for other people. And we never do that for ourselves. We never put ourselves first. We don't really look after ourselves. I never used to eat at work. I never prepped anything. I would just power through until the close. And by that point, I'd be absolutely starving. So I'd grab a side ready meal or a greasy takeaway on the way home and eat that in front of the telly. Rinse and repeat day after day. And I kept telling myself, I need to start prepping or I need to start remembering to actually eat. But there's no switch you can flip to start prioritizing yourself more. There was no structure, I was winging it every day and it very quickly got forgotten. Until I realized that even in the chaos of a kitchen, there's structure. We have sections, responsibilities. Because if the kitchen didn't have that structure, it would collapse. It would fail fucking miserably. So I tried applying that logic to my situation and my routine. The solution to my problem of not eating or chaotic food habits became adding structure, even just the smallest amount. So rule 3 is to eat 1 meal a day. That's what I started with. Maybe it's breakfast before work. Maybe it's having a proper break during your shift. Maybe it's just a planned dinner waiting for you in the fridge for when you finish. It didn't really matter what it was for me. It just had to be deliberate. And that single structured meal became an anchor for me. I slowly added more, and that became 2 meals, and then 3. I became less stressed. I was having less takeaways, more energy, and I felt healthier. I felt better overall. All downstream from that one decision to have 1 meal a day. So if your food habits feel like chaos, just start with 1 consistent meal a day and build from there. Rule number 4. Why do restaurants track costs and sales and all that good stuff that upper management have to worry about? Because what gets measured gets managed. Without it, a restaurant wouldn't function or survive for very long at all. And I get it, right? Getting too close to the scales and weighing yourself every day, it can mess with your head a bit. But if you do want to actually lose weight and keep it off, you need that feedback. You need to know what's going on. So rule 4 is to weigh yourself daily, or the next best thing, a couple of times a week. Because it's not about obsessing over it or judging yourself. It's just about noticing the trends and seeing what's actually happening. Because I weigh myself every morning. Not because I'm trying to lose weight, I'm not doing that at the minute, but just to stay consistent. Because if my weight's up one day, I can just eat a little bit less for dinner. If it's down another day, that means I've got a bit more leeway for what I'm going to eat that day. I just make simple adjustments based on real feedback that I see on the scale. And when fat loss is the goal, that becomes a very, very powerful tool. Some days your weight will spike up like that from salty foods, bigger meals, maybe you ate more carbs the day before, had a lot of water, or just bad sleep. It can be any number of reasons. But then other days it'll drop. And the main thing you need to look for is what's happening on a week by week basis. What's the average from last week compared to this week? And when you zoom out like that, you can see the trend, you can see what's happening. And as long as that line's moving down, you know you're doing something right. So the scale is feedback. Use that to stay on track. Okay, last one, rule number 5. My first job as a proper chef, so not just on the fries now, was opening a brand new restaurant. It was actually my first ever full-time job. It was a brand new team, big expectations, and those were some of the hardest days that I've ever had to work. Experiencing 12, 13-hour shifts for the first time in my life. 60-hour weeks as a fresh-faced 18-year-old who's just finished 6th form. And that mythical 4-day week that we were promised didn't happen. We were short-staffed from day one. I was wrecked all the time. And I tried to suck it up and just keep going with my workouts, just show up, but I was dragging my ass through every single session at the gym. I was sleep deprived, weak, and making no progress. Just living in a constant state of exhaustion. Until one day at work, I got told off. The head chef came up to me and he said, you need to be taking your split shifts. You need to take those 2 hours, non-negotiable. Someone else can cover your prep. So I listened to him and I started taking my splits, and I would go home and I would just nap. That's when things started to slowly improve. When I made sleep a priority, when I got off my phone at night, when I started treating rest as something quite important in my life. And it worked. I gradually clawed my way out of that fatigue hole that I was in, slowly getting back into my gym routine and started feeling human again. So rule 5 is to prioritize sleep. Because look, right, if you're always tired, your body's going to fight back, especially against weight loss and fat loss and whatever kind of progress you want to make with your physique. You'll snack more, move less, skip workouts, feel hungrier, and recover slower. The scale won't budge and you'll feel stuck. Now, obviously, hospitality shifts are savage. Close one night, open the next. It's brutal. And it's not as easy as just sleeping more, because sometimes there just isn't time for that. But you can still make positive changes if you make that a priority. Getting a nap in when you can, getting blackout blinds for your bedroom, putting your phone down an hour earlier, prioritizing 6 to 8 hours, even if it's just 2 or 3 days a week. But that extra bit of recovery makes everything else, fat loss included, 10 times easier. So look, none of these rules are extreme. They're not biohacks. They're not some 12-week plan that leaves you knackered and rebounding hard. They're just realistic. If you can follow 3 out of 5 of them consistently, you'll lose fat. If you can do all 5, dropping 10 kilos isn't a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. So if you found this helpful, you might enjoy watching this video as well.